Hello everyone and welcome to Leaders Speak presented to you by Universal Business School. It gives me immense pleasure to share the same room with the country head of Writer Corporation, Mr. Manosh Bhattacharya. Now before we advance this conversation, sir, I would like to ask you one essential thing. What were the key motivators that drove you towards this industry?
Um, I've been a logistic professional most of my working career. And after having worked for different kinds of industry in the logistics space, this seemed very different in terms of how finance and logistics comes together, right? And the involvement of technology and risk aspects of the business. Um, so this was from a perspective of how this logistic looks like is very different compared to any other kind of logistics. In a normal logistic world, you would normally sort of deal with just movement of goods to and fro. You would try and optimize. But when you look at this specific industry, you are looking at logistics, but you are also looking at the finance aspect of it because you are trying to do cash balancing of ATMs. Also the risk aspect because there's such huge amount of cash that is moving, and this is the most fungible and the desirable asset in the world. So the risk management aspect comes into play, and when you have such high level of risk and the kind of network and the logistical delivery that it demands, it's imperative that your controls are system based. So IT plays an extremely important role in this kind of a industry, and that's why I sort of chose this as a space to work for.
So we all resist change, but we also know that change is inevitable. So what is this one thing that you would like to change about your organization?
Uh, what would I like to change? Um, Very difficult for somebody who's built the organization to think of what they want to change. But if I could change something in the existing way we operate, I would like to become more people centric. We are customer centric, we are service oriented, but I would like to become more people centric. Reason being that, being part of the service industry, what you're really delivering are people. You don't have a product to sell. When you are selling services, you are basically selling the capability of few people. So it's important that we have happy set of people. So if I could improve on anything, I would improve on how we handle our people.
My next question is on the very same lines. What, according to you, are most important for an organization? Mission, vision, or values?
Um, you cannot do with one and not do with the other. So all three of them are equally important. An organization is nothing but set of people coming together having similar kind of value system. So an organization without values is really not an organization. It's a crowd, right? That's what happens when you go in for a concert, right? You have people coming in from different backgrounds and having different value systems. You find somebody dancing, somebody singing along with, some people crying, and some are just ardent fans. But when you are working for an organization, you are working towards a common goal, and that cannot happen without having a value system in place. So it starts off with a value system, but then what are you striving for? So unless and until you have a mission for, these set of people with similar value systems cannot really achieve anything. And even if you are striving for something, you have to have a long-term goal, right? So you need a vision.
So all are somewhat interconnected.
They are all interconnected and they are all equally important.
So you have been in the industry for more than 2 decades. So how do you ensure that you win industry change?
Um, so there are three ways of bringing in change. One is the organization itself could be the change agent, right? So, and there are various examples across the industries where an organization has chosen to be different from everybody else within that space and made it really big. So the organization itself could be a change agent. The second thing that you can do to bring in change is to demonstrate practices and then through the industry forums drive those practices across the industry. And third, probably the most difficult bit, is to drive change through the regulators. When you have different kind of organizations striving for different things within an industry space, then the best way to bring about a change is through the regulations. And each one of them are important from an organization perspective, depending on where are they in the life cycle of the industry.
Okay, so what is the number one trait that you look for in an employee while bringing them onto your team?
So three things we choose from. Number one is aptitude. But aptitude means nothing if there is no attitude, right? So that's number two. And number three is adaptability. You know, in the world that we are in, the VUCA environment that we all deal with, adaptability is the most critical skill that one has to have.
These are the 3 A's of...
Absolutely. So those are the three things that we look for.
So we here at UBS have a saying that sometimes there is a gap in the market and sometimes gap is the market. So what do you want to say about that?
I think both are true, and you know, as the statement goes, but I would believe that, you know, it's for an individual to choose where they see themselves. If you choose what you like doing, it doesn't really matter. You will always find gaps, right? And you will always find a problem that you can solve for if you have a passion for it. And irrespective of how good a market is, there's always something to solve for.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time. That be all from me and the team.
Thank you.